to have one level of a higher secret transportation technology that would allow them a competitive edge. And the time tunnel is the third grade, the third level above even the transportation technology. Then we have a tape on the close encounters of the Foo Fighter kind. Introduction to Nazi anti-gravity research and development in the 30s and 40s. And we talk in that film about 50 models of flying saucers with piston, Bankel, turbo, pulse, ramjet and rocket engines with spinning magnetic fields or powered by free energy. We talk about the exo-atmospheric and space flight capabilities of these craft around Earth orbit, to the Moon and to Mars, according to German documentary films. We also talk at length about the Nazi Antarctic underground base and Admiral Byrd's failed campaign against them. We have a film on the underground, on the alternative 3 joint secret landing, saucer landing on Mars in 1952, May 22nd, 1952.
Was that 62 or 52?
I have a feeling that it was 52, not 62, because they landed with saucers much earlier than. In the film they claim they landed with rockets, but this is not a rocket landing, and we'll see why. We have a film, this is a lecture and seminar by Colonel Marina Popovich. She's a decorated military test pilot from the Soviet Union, from the Soviet Air Force. The film is titled UFO Glassness over Russia. In that film she talks about a crash-landed UFO that was brought down with a surface-to-air missile in the late 80s over Soviet Caucasus Mountain. And also a photograph of the giant mothership that was a shot that was taken from the Russian unmanned space probe Phobos when it approached the Martian moon Phobos. Very close to the moon, there was a giant 22-kilometer long mothership parked there by somebody, and the Russian probe took the picture before it vanished. Then we have a whole list of audio tapes available from the Graduate School of Conspiratology and the American Academy of Dissident Sciences. Mainly these tapes are about the secret societies of the planet. A tape revealing the Freemasonry and the Masonic Lodge as the Illuminati fifth column on the planet, tape by Ron Carlson. Another tape on the Illuminati Council of Foreign Relations, exposed by Myron Fagan. This is a 3 LP record set of about 3-hour-long tape. The Illuminati infiltration of the American Secret Central Committee, or the Council of Foreign Relations, that runs the United States behind the scenes together with the Trilateral Commission. Another tape on the Trilateral Commission itself by J.C. Lewis, 90-minute long, which reveals that the Trilateral Commission is again an Illuminati outfit to speed up the coming of the one world government and the New World Order, an outfit created by and financed by Rockefeller after World War II. A very interesting tape by Anthony Sutton called The Order exposes Yale University Secret Society, the 322, or the Skull and Bones, which is one of the secret Illuminati prep schools for the Golden Party youth, the future rulers of the country and the new united world, and the torchbearers of the illuminated enlightenment on the planet. And I wouldn't be amazed that, on top of everything else, this is also a quite well camouflaged satanic cult that operates on a university campus. I wouldn't be amazed, because a lot of the symbology of the skull and bones, including the very shape of the bones and the skull, are the same that they do on satanic rituals. And in symbology, nothing is coincidental.
The Grand Masters of the Freemasons and the Knights Templars both use skull and bones on their gravestones too.
It's a very good point. The Grand Masters of Freemasonry and the Knights Templars use the skull and bones, and so did the SS on their uniforms. It's a very good point that occurred here. Then we have a 3-hour-long tape, the terrestrial component of the alien presence, on the secret Illuminati projects, known to the public as the new and ultimate threat, the alien threat. after the collapse of the Russian Bear, they urgently need a new threat. Oh boy, how urgently they need a new long-term threat. The echo threat is the sister to the alien threat, the Mickey Mouse alien threat. And we'll talk about this in the lecture. But this tape covers basically one century of Illuminati super black research and development projects in anti-gravity, space flights, mind control, and human genetic engineering that are being conveniently covered up behind real alien visitations on the planet. Hundreds of races visit us each year, but behind that there is a very substantial illuminated component of terrestrial developments that it's very easy for them to explain away as all alien, being all alien. And in that tape we would make the claim that the little greys are the government-developed biological robots or cyborgs, the little Igors of the underground gulag of government Frankenstein manufacturers, as Anthony Hilder calls them. And also we have a lot of papers. I wouldn't go through all of the papers. Basically, all of this material is very well represented in different papers. And now we can go on with our slide presentation. If we can turn on the projector, please. In the back, the button goes upward. On the back of the back, rightmost, up and up and up and up to the top. Excellent. After the tabloid sources, let's summarize the first step. I was back tracing my quote-quote discovery of anti-gravity through the anthropology of myth approach. I just did a big file and I put there all the stories about anti-gravity that I could find. And in the first step we went over my sources from ancient astronaut accounts, from modern day contactee cases. Actually we'll go through the contactee cases right now. Biblical and ancient revelation prophecies, revelations, modern day revelations like the Urantia book and the Waski book and the Billy Meyer Chronicles. We talk about the secret symbology, the meanings of the swastika as a swirling whirlwind of etheric energy, and the Star of David that have much deeper physical meaning than just being a symbol of a political movement on our planet. And now we will be talking at length about more hardcore evidence, academic evidence. And we started with a case of academician Nikolai Kozyrev from the Pulkovo Observatory. He died in '87, who did incredible experiments with spinning gyroscopes. In this very simplified photograph, I have a red gyroscope here that is spun in motion by a very simple electromagnetic device. The gyroscope is balanced on a precision laboratory scale, and let's say it weighs 100 grams before spinning. We spin the gyro and we measure the weight again, and if it spins leftwards, it weighs 95 grams. If it spins counterclockwise in the other direction, it weighs 92 grams. Academician Sakharov went a step further. As a true Russian patriot who cannot do an experiment without involving vodka or tea, he decided to add the variable of a strong Russian tea to the equation, and to his astonishment he discovered that if the already spinning gyro that weighs, let's say, 95 grams, you approach the gyro without touching it with a cup of hot Russian tea, the moment you drop a sugar cube in the tea and start mixing the tea and having the tea dissolve, the gyro whoop drops down with another 5 grams. Incredible result. That can be done by dropping a few spoonfuls of cold water into a cup of hot water, not necessarily sugar on it. Hot water mixing in cold water. These are time-wise unidirectional processes. You can dissolve the cube of sugar, you can't do the other ways around to get the sugar out of solution and produce the cube from the viewpoint of physics, without expending energy, of course. You can distill the water, boil the water out and get the sugar, but the universe goes in the direction of sugar dissolving, the dissolution. This is a non-reversible thermodynamic process from the viewpoint of physics. It cannot be reversed in time. Like frying the egg. After we fry the egg, we cannot put it back in the shell. And all such processes appear to influence gravity by strange reasons that even Professor Kozyrov wasn't very sure about at the beginning. After that, he arrived at a very general theory about gravity that has been experimented with by several other Russian academicians, and they do the experiments right now. De Palma, another scientist with background from MIT and Stanford, and teaching experience at MIT. He was a physics lecturer at MIT. He started investigating 20-30 years ago the problems of rotation, and particularly the rotating unipolar or one-pole Faraday generator, Faraday dynamo. There is a copper disc sandwiched between two magnet discs, magnet donuts, spun on a shaft, and you have two brushes. One brush is touching the shaft, the other brush is touching the periphery of the disc, and a potential difference of 1 volt appears here. Unlike normal generators that have drag because the magnetic field of the rotor acts like a magnetic glue dragging with the magnetic field of the stator. And it's very difficult to turn them, and that's why all the power of the turbines driving the generators in the electrical stations, a lot of it goes for overcoming this drag. Unlike that, this generator you can spin by hand and there is no drag. Basically the drag is zero. Whether there is load or there is no load. No physicist can explain that. Current physics, as we know it, the party line university academic physics cannot explain that.
There's no cutting of lines of force by that generator.
Exactly. It probably cuts the etheric lines of force of the planet, but there is no ether, according to modern science. So, ergo, this generator cannot exist. And if it does, the guy's a crackpot. And off goes De Palma out of the university. So his experiments involved collision experiments where two cartridges loaded with weights, one will be with a gyro, another one just with a weight, will be collided with each other. And when the gyro spins and when the gyro doesn't spin, this gyro cartridge behaves as if it has different mass. So spinning obviously influences the mass of that cartridge. This carriage, this is a very simple wheel carriage. They do this. This is a high school physics we're talking about. You collide two things and then measure the impulse, measure the momentum, measure the velocity, and so on. When the gyro spins and when the gyro doesn't spin, the carriage behaves as if it has a different mass. Then he put a gyro on a pendulum and started swinging it. And the pendulum has its frequency of swinging, which is constant. The height of the swinging can change, but the frequency remains constant. That's why we can measure time, because of this fundamental and unexplainable property of the pendulum. And it can be basically demonstrated with formulas, but nobody knows why these things happen. These are the most fundamental secrets of nature. Even the Platonians don't know why electricity flows. What electricity is, they can use it far better than we do, but even for them it's a big puzzle. So this pendulum swinging with the gyro spinning and not spinning, it has different frequency. It means that again the mass changed. Then, if you approach an electric clock, quartz clock, next to a spinning gyro, it lags, increases dramatically. It starts lagging behind by like 15 seconds a week instead of 1 second a month or something like that. If we approach a spinning gyro with a tuning fork, the tuning fork changes its pitch, which again, here in the form of the pitch, the mass of the fork is involved. So obviously the spinning gyro affects space-time continuum around itself and every object that's nearby. So that's the conclusion of Bruce de Palma's experiment, that rotation changes mass and weight. There was a brilliant article in the Flying Saucer Review Journal, a little bit of contactee accounts, that basically found that majority of the saucers observed spin, or something spins. Either the whole house spins, or the outermost part of the house spins, or if nothing spins outside, you would hear the noise of an electric generator or an electric drill, which are spinning electric machinery. If you don't hear any noise, you would see lights spinning around the craft. When the craft takes off, the frequency of spinning increases. Also, the lights may change their color because of the frequency of the light changing. So, this initial hunch that I had many years ago, that because of the rotational symmetry, maybe spinning is involved, was greatly reinforced here when I found an article by professional ufologists. Flying Saucer Review magazine is one of the top British and probably one of the top 5 world UFO journals, investigative journals, and I greatly admire everything they do. Not as good as Physical Review Letters, professional academic physics journal, but in the marginal schizoid reality of UFO literature, this is probably the best there is. And so I was astonished to find something that I had heard so many years earlier, that basically spinning may be associated with flying saucers. Then I went to my massive UFO contactee database. In the book and film, the film is called UFOs, It Has Begun. The book is called UFOs Past, Present, and Future. They talk about a San Diego dock worker that asked his aliens, how the hell do their saucers fly? And they say, oh, it's very simple, it's a flying electric motor. The rotor, the red one, spins one way according to, along a vertical axis. The whole stator, the blue one, spins the other way. And the cabin on top is gyroscopically stabilized so that the pilots would not spin into insanity with the cabin. Such a construction explains the crop circle whirlwinds, which is a field of rotating electromagnetic and etheric vortex under the anti-gravity drive of the craft, which is basically an electric motor. If we have a big electric motor, flat motor, spinning over a growing grass, I wouldn't be amazed that the grass would assume the same crop circle type formation, even with the a lot lower intensity of the field of an electric motor. We can't produce, at least our official science and technology cannot produce such strong fields as you can produce under an anti-gravity drive. So one of the contactee accounts talks about anti-gravity saucers being powered like an flying electric motor. This is a very interesting contactee account from Red China. And here, unlike in Britain where the crop circle is on the surface, on the ground, here the drive of the craft affects space-time and the atmosphere in such a way that we have a circle formation on the underside of the craft. We have a white and a black forces chasing each other in a kind of a never-ending yin and yang frenzy, ever chasing and never reaching each other. This is a rotational dipole The yin and yang is basically a rotational dipolar vortex.